What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. Today, I want to share with you guys the three most important things that I have learned from 10 years of bodybuilding experience, casually as well as competitively. If you are new to the channel, hi. My name is Jordan. I am a self-proclaimed fitness enthusiast. I am a professional. I work in a leadership role in a company that's inside the S&P 500. I studied communications, business, as well as human behavioral sciences in my undergraduate degree. I am a self-help-oholic. I am extremely inquisitive, and I'm also very industrious. If you would like to follow me along for the journey and the experience, I highly suggest that you subscribe. What are the most important things that I have learned? Have I learned anything? I would almost compare bodybuilding as a marathon, right? It is not a sprint. It's not a race. It is, you are in it for the long haul, especially if you're a natural athlete. I know, at least in my experience, what I even thought 5 years ago is completely different to what I think now. And my perception and perspective is always changing as I get older. That's kind of like a natural tendency. The first thing that I have really developed, and I think is one of the most important things that I have learned from this decade-long journey, is how it has built my character. Obviously, with bodybuilding, there is very strict regimen and there's a lot of consistency, and you are developing your discipline, and that makes you a very industrious individual. You're constantly pushing the limits. You're adding more weight to your lifts. There's a lot of mental challenges with overcoming those things. It has directly built my confidence, right? When you see results, you see your physique change, you see the weight numbers increasing. These are all things that feed back into your own psychology. It also makes you very mature, right? Like, there's something very profound about putting in hard work over time, like a long period of time, and seeing the results. And when there's something very mature about that, right? When you're a child, or you're younger, you're a kid or a teenager, or even in your early 20s, sometimes you're not willing, or you don't maybe understand how much of back end work goes into achieving a specific goal. We just kind of want it, right? And sometimes when you want it too much, you're clouding your judgment on how much it's actually going to take of you in work, in regimen, and all these things to actually achieve that goal. Another aspect of character building is just changing your overall mentality and how you operate in the world. Obviously, once you build up your physique, it has a lot of trickle down effect into these other areas of your own psychology. The only way that you really build strong character is through hard work, discipline, and lots of adversity. And over my path in my bodybuilding experience, I've overcome tons of adversity, injuries, you name it. And these are all things that really, how you deal with those situations and push through those hard times is really what is the essence of building character. Another aspect of this character building is, a lot of times in bodybuilding, and even with like powerlifting, you have like a very set goal in mind, and you have to work hard to achieve it. And obviously, once you get there and you have that fulfillment from achieving the goal, it's extremely satisfying. And knowing that you could do it makes it easier for you to translate this into other things. Number two, bodybuilding has taught me to understand my own psychology, my own self, my own inner demons inside of my head. And I would say the time where this was the most intense was actually when I was competing. And during this time, you're getting extremely lean. Your programs are very regimented. And many of you know you're weighing every meal out to the absolute gram. Everything is completely dialed in, right? There's not much wiggle room for error, um, or you don't have as much wiggle room, right? Especially there's an overwhelming pressure on you to obviously place well, look good. You don't want to be bloated. You don't want to be fat. Your posing has to be on point. There's so many things that come to a head when it comes to competitive bodybuilding. And the reason why I think this really shows who you truly are is you're depleted, right? You don't have calories. We know from scientific research that when you're hungry, it's harder for you to have discipline, right? And when you're tired as well, your disciplinary like capacity to make good decisions decreases as you get more malnourished, right? So think about in a bodybuilding perspective, as you're getting leaner, it's becoming harder and harder to stick to this commitment. And a lot of people crack, a lot of people cheat, and you're going to understand your own thinking pathway and how you're wrestling with those inner demons. And every person's different. For me, it was pretty brutal. To elaborate a little bit on like your own inner demons, people might make excuses. They might have, and this can also lead to some cognitive dissonance, right? Especially in these hard times. You're gonna have to understand how to motivate you when you are at your absolute weakest point, and that is something that is a skill that you're gonna have to learn. Another aspect of this psychology portion with bodybuilding is learning how to not compare yourself to others. This is a huge one, and I think so many people struggle with this, especially with social media and sharing, and people are very open with what they're doing, maybe supplementation, other things like that of this nature, and it really makes people want to compare themselves to others. This is a total psychological trap. People are different, their genetics are different, what they're taking might be different. There's so many facets to this. The only person that you should be comparing yourself to is yourself. And this kind of plays back into you are your own worst enemy. Lastly, this is the third thing that bodybuilding has taught me. And arguably, this is the most important thing I think that it has taught me. And that is the ability to translate the framework of discipline, hard work, industriousness, focus, pushing yourself. The list can go on and on, right? But the ability to finesse and finagle all of these skills that I have accumulated from bodybuilding and actually distributing them across other areas of my life and using that code, if you will, that software to improve other areas. And this is one of the biggest mistakes I think a lot of younger people are making is they care so much about the gym and how they look and the vanity and all these things, like when it comes to fitness. And their routine is on point, their diet's on point, whatever. But then every other thing in their life is like in the waste, it's like just left in the dust. It's like their house is a mess, their room's a mess, their career is a mess. Maybe they don't have a job, maybe their relationship's a mess. They don't spend any time with their family. There's so many other aspects that I see this pattern occurring, that your entire life isn't just the gym, right? You need to learn how to translate that into your life, or else there's nothing else. It's like you're putting all this effort and emphasis into your body, which is great. It's amazing. And your health is going to improve from it. But then what about the flip side? Another super common thing is like a lot of these people who are bodybuilders, or not, I'm not going to say bodybuilders, but people who take fitness very, very seriously, right? Maybe fitness influencers, bodybuilders, casuals, whatever. They care so much about their health, right? All this energy is going into the gym. And kind of like I mentioned, all this other shit is just going to the wayside, right? Maybe they're partying a lot, maybe they're doing drugs. And then it's like, don't you see the cognitive dissonance here? You're so focused on your physique and maybe your performance in the gym, but then in these other areas of your life, you're kind of like fucking off, right? You're not staying consistent. And that is my number one takeaway, is that translating your consistency with bodybuilding and your routine, your character, your drive, your industriousness, translating those skills into every single area in your life. And you would be amazed on the results, like amazed. This, repeatability aspect of it is very powerful, as well as, implementing a routine in other areas of your life. The distribution of these skills will make you kind of like a self-helpaholic, right? I mean, it's very intense. And that's why